Big news has hit the Formula One world. The FIA has just announced that McLaren's car is officially illegal. This shocking revelation has rocked the racing community and could spell the end of McLaren's championship dreams. How did this happen, and what does it mean for the team's future? Helmut Marko believes that McLaren's success might be due to a flexible front wing on their MCL38. He has asked the FIA to investigate this feature, not only on McLaren's car, but also on Mercedes vehicles. Marko made these statements after a disappointing qualifying session for Red Bull in Monza. Mercedes first introduced their flexible wing in 2022, but it has proven to be especially effective this season. The team has already won 3 races in 2024. McLaren is also using this type of wing on their MCL38, and it seems to be paying off. The British team is now closing the gap to Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship, with only 8 points separating them. Red Bull's concerns. Red Bull's team principal, Christian Horner, hinted at where he thinks the problem lies. He pointed out that McLaren and Mercedes have gained significant performance from their front wing designs. According to Horner, the angle and use of the front wings on these cars are different from the rest of the field, which might explain their advantage. Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko has pointed out differences in the front wings of McLaren and Mercedes cars. He believes that the FIA should investigate these front wings for potential rule violations. While it's unclear if the FIA will respond to Marko's request, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez will need to compete against these cars, which Red Bull claims may be illegal. Both Mercedes and McLaren use front wing designs that are different from Red Bull's. One standout feature is the lower rear corner end plate cutout and the semi-detached flap layout, a design first introduced by Mercedes in 2022. This innovation aims to regulate airflow around the tyre and reduce aerodynamic drag. McLaren has adopted this design, helping them improve performance. Another key difference lies in how Mercedes and McLaren manage the separation between the static inboard area of the wing and the adjustable flaps. On their respective cars, the MCL38 and W15, the break between these parts is set diagonally, which creates a vortex that enhances airflow. This flexible wing design changes shape as speed increases, helping with both low-speed understeer and high-speed oversteer. Flexi-wing controversy. Flexible wings which change their shape based on speed have been a hot topic in Formula One. The FIA has been investigating this issue, requiring teams to use additional cameras during practice sessions. Teams have been using aeroelasticity, flexible parts, for years to enhance performance, and the designs used by McLaren and Mercedes are the latest examples of this trend. At the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, McLaren introduced several updates to their car. While some of these changes were specific to the high-speed demands of the track, they reflect McLaren's ongoing efforts to challenge their competitors. McLaren is making continuous improvements to their MCL38, with some changes focused on long-term performance gains. For the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, the main goal was reducing drag. McLaren introduced smaller front, rear, and beam wings to enhance the car's aerodynamics. The team also revised the top flap design on the front wing, shaving off a crescent-shaped piece from the trailing edge. Additionally, McLaren modified the side pod and engine cover bodywork to improve airflow to the rear of the car. These adjustments, combined with a single-element beam wing, were aimed at increasing top speed. Red Bull's Max Verstappen has commented on his team's dip in performance, attributing it to the advancements made by McLaren and Mercedes. Verstappen noted that their rivals' focus on front-wing improvements has given them a performance boost. Verstappen further hinted that the claims of illegal front wings used by McLaren and Mercedes might be a tactic by Red Bull to divert attention from their own struggles. With the competition heating up, it remains unclear whether Red Bull can regain their dominance or if their title challenge will continue to falter. FIA confirms McLaren car is not illegal. Despite the complaints by Ferrari and Red Bull, McLaren's wing has passed all legality tests so far, and the FIA had no immediate plans for intervention at the start of this investigation. However, recent developments have significantly intensified the situation for both Red Bull and Ferrari. McLaren has transformed from a struggling team into a serious contender for race wins. This turnaround began with a notable improvement at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in late April and continued with a strong performance in Austria in early July. Since then, McLaren's development pace has been exceptional, leading to a more balanced car that excels on various track types. This progress has allowed McLaren to outscore Red Bull in 9 of the last 10 races, narrowing the championship gap to just 8 points. The controversy centers on the flexibility of McLaren's front wing, which has been scrutinized after video footage showed it bending significantly under pressure on the straights before returning to its original position. The Mercedes front wing has also been noted for its flexibility, which is crucial for aerodynamic efficiency. All wings deform to some extent under stress, but the key issue is ensuring this deformation is predictable and consistent while passing load tests. The FIA began a more detailed assessment of front wing deformation at the Belgian Grand Prix before the summer break. Using extra cameras on the nose of the cars, the FIA aimed to gain a better understanding of wing flexibility. Although there were initial concerns, the FIA stated that all tested front wings had passed current regulations and were deemed lawful. Since the Belgian Grand Prix, the governing body has been collecting additional data during Free Practice 1, FP1, and Free Practice 2, FP2 sessions to better understand the dynamic behaviors of front wings. This data is gathered through FIA-mandated video cameras that capture areas not visible through the official Formula One management FOM cameras. The FIA's initiative to monitor and assess front wing flexibility is set to continue at least until the Singapore Grand Prix. The goal is to ensure that every team's front wing is evaluated across different track types, low, medium, high, and very high downforce, to build a comprehensive database. This approach will help the FIA create an objective assessment of the various dynamic patterns observed and quantify differences between teams. How did Stella respond? During the Hungarian Grand Prix, McLaren faced scrutiny over a minor issue that quickly escalated in the paddock. McLaren boss Andrea Stella addressed the situation, calling it very simple. Speaking to Sky Sports F1, Stella explained, "This is a hole to access a sensor. We got a clarification from the FIA that this hole isn't allowed, so we just taped it." He emphasized that it was a straightforward matter, but somehow became a bigger topic in the paddock than necessary. "Nothing of that kind," Stella added, downplaying the incident. As McLaren is one of Red Bull's main challengers, it's no surprise that complaints to the FIA are common as teams look for any possible edge. Throughout the season, McLaren and Red Bull have exchanged heated words, particularly following Max Verstappen's clash with Lando Norris in Austria. McLaren CEO Zak Brown has been particularly vocal in his criticisms of Red Bull and team principal Christian Horner. Brown has even claimed that Red Bull is scared of Verstappen's competition from McLaren. Furthermore, Brown speculated that Adrian Newey's potential departure from Red Bull could trigger a mass exodus from the team, adding more fuel to the ongoing rivalry between the two teams. FIA's approach and future measures. The FIA's objective is to manage aerodynamic component flexibility within acceptable limits and to curb accusations of illegal tricks among teams. Although there are no plans for short-term changes, the FIA is focused on medium and long-term evaluations. The FIA retains the right to introduce new tests if irregularities are detected. This approach is part of the FIA's broader strategy to maintain control over aerodynamic regulations and ensure a fair competition. The technical department now has a clearer understanding of the limits of aeroelasticity, which should be communicated to teams in due course. After this, the FIA's ongoing assessments and potential future regulations will determine whether Red Bull and Ferrari's concerns will lead to changes. If no immediate action is taken, these teams might need to adjust their strategies and technology to keep pace with competitors like McLaren and Mercedes. The question remains whether Red Bull and Ferrari will continue to challenge the status quo or focus on advancing their own innovations to address the performance gap. So, what do you think of McLaren's car? Is it illegal? Comment below your views and subscribe for more.